If you need some better stability in the front end and know the extra play is coming from your front lower control arms, this TTX front lower control arm and ball joint assembly for the driver's side can make a difference for your 2006, 2012 four-wheel drive Ram or your 2013 through 2018 Ram 1500. We also have the passenger side available on our site if you do need both sides for your truck, so just keep that in mind while you're checking this out. Now, suspension with integrated bushings and ball joints do wear out over time, whether it's from constant use, tougher driving, larger tires, a lift kit, or all of the above. And when they get bad, you can start to feel your drivability and comfortability decrease in your truck. Now, this, however, is a solid swap for a durable refresh and replacement to not only get back the stability that you may have been lacking, but it also offers tougher and long-lasting performance. This is designed to improve the feel and capability of the front end, especially if you are currently working with a broken or worn down lower control arm. This also allows for proper camber and caster alignment for some better confidence when you're driving with heavier tires or on tougher terrain, thanks to a more dialed in setup. Now, the control arm is also serviceable, including a 180-degree SAE grease fitting, so you can maintain this over time for a longer lifespan and enjoy the benefits of this without having to worry about it. Now, this is made of a forged steel construction while maintaining an OE Plus style build, so this has a direct fit with a tougher design to resist any damage. Now, on top of the steel, you can also see that this has a bronze or gold style color to it that's called a Repel Tech finish. This keeps corrosion and rusting at bay even in harsher environments or conditions. Now, the ball joint is also tough with a heavy duty construction and self-lubricating sintered bearings on the inside for long-term use. This kit also comes with natural bushings and all new hardware, including an easy snap cotter pin, as well as a high strength multi-lip locking polyurethane boot to prevent tears and resist any dirt or debris from getting to the joint. This is about $350 per control arm. Now, comparing this to others available in the category, one thing that does stand out here is the upgrade that you're getting. Now, while it may take the same approach to the factory one, this brings a more sophisticated design to the table, and it is stronger and more reliable, especially when it comes to the joint and being greasable. Now, others in the category may take a similar approach, but if you are searching for a control arm that's easy to maintain over time and it's already put together for you with no questions asked, this is a great choice. Now, install here is a little bit tougher, so I am going to give it a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, considering that you should have some experience when tackling this job just to make it easier for you. If you do have the right tools and setup though, it should take about 2 hours or so to get this installed, and I do recommend to take your truck for an alignment after install to make sure that everything is aligned properly for the best performance and tire wear. However, at this point, I'm going to hand it over to one of our installers. They're going to show you a detailed breakdown on how to get your old control arm off and this one in its place. So that wraps it up for what I have to say. Let's go ahead and get into the install.
For this install, you will need an impact, a hammer, caliper hanger tool, a bungee cord, a grease gun, an extension, ratchet, 3/8 wrench, swivel adapter, 3/8 a ½ inch adapter if necessary, 8, 21, 24, 27, and 36 millimeter sockets, 21 and 24 millimeter wrenches, an 18 millimeter ratchet wrench, and also not shown here is the jack and jack stands. What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing a lower control arm on our Ram, so let's get started. All right, so the first thing we're going to need to do, we've got the truck in the air, we've got the wheels off. We're going to pull the caliper and rotor off of our knuckle. It's going to make things a lot easier. So we're going to unplug our wheel speed sensor and then unbolt our caliper, hang that off to the side, and remove our rotor. First thing we'll do is unplug our sensor, pop this tab back, push down, unplug that, and we'll get it out of its little retainers. Pop that out. There's one on the back side as well you can just pull out. Get this out of the way over here. Next, we're going to unbolt our caliper and bracket assembly. So we're going to grab our 21 mil socket and a swivel adapter, remove the 2 bolts in here. First one out, and then get our second one. Once we have those loose, support our caliper, get these all the way out. Once we have those out, pull our caliper off. Then we're gonna grab our caliper hanger tool, hook that in, get that into a nice spot out of the way, and so we don't put excess pressure on our brake line. Now we're gonna pull our rotor off, set that aside. Next, we're gonna come in and remove our axle nut because we are gonna be doing lower ball joints as well, so it's best just to remove the whole knuckle. So we're gonna get this out with our 36mm axle socket on our impact. Next, we're gonna loosen up our upper control arm ball joint nut. So we're gonna grab a 21mm socket, an extension, and swivel adapter. So you don't want to fully remove this just yet. We're just going to pull it down to where it has a couple threads left. Now we're going to need to unseat our ball joint from our knuckle. So we're going to grab our hammer, give a few taps on our knuckle itself. Get that to pop up, and as you can see, that nut's holding it so it didn't just fly out. Next, we're going to get our outer tie rod out. So we're going to get our 21mm socket on that nut. Just like with our upper ball joint, we'll leave that in a few threads and come in and tap on this with our hammer. Might need to tap it from the bottom. Get this out. Stick that nut right back on there. Next, we're going to remove our lower ball joint nut, and we're going to need our 24mm socket for that. And we're going to leave that on a couple threads. Next thing we're going to do is fully remove our upper ball joint from our knuckles. So we'll push down, get our nut out completely. Pop that up, get that out of the way. Now you want to push back in on your axle to make sure it doesn't come out with your knuckle. Make sure that's sitting back. Then we're going to go to the bottom side of our knuckle and give a few taps on that to release our lower ball joint from our knuckle. We're going to give a few taps right here. Once that's dropped down, we'll come back up and support it, fully remove this nut, and we can remove our knuckle. So we get our nut off. Push our axle back. You kind of have to take this at an angle to get it out and down. Now once you have your knuckle out, you want to support your axle to make sure it doesn't just come out. So we'll take a bungee cord, wrap that around, and hook that to our spring, and we'll keep that out of the way. Next, we're going to remove the lower portion of our sway bar link. We're going to grab our 18mm ratchet wrench and get that on to our nut. We're going to grab an 8mm socket on the ratchet to hold this shaft in place. We'll loosen this up. So now once you have this lower nut out, you want to do the same thing for the other side so we can push our sway bar up and out. So now that we have our sway bar link out of our lower control arm, we're going to come in here and unbolt the bottom strut mounting bolt. So we're going to use our 21mm wrench on our bolt head and a 24mm socket on our impact for the nut. So your bolt may get a little stuck in here, so what you can do is grab a 21mm socket, get it on the bolt head and run this out. Might have to give it a little push. Now we can come to our two lower control arm mounting bolts. Now, the one thing you want to do before you loosen these up is make sure you mark your alignment cams so that they go back in where you take them out. Now, you definitely want to take this to get an alignment first, but this will get you back to a close point. So once you've got those marked with a marker, you grab your 24mm socket and remove this nut. And we'll do the same thing for our rear bolt. And once those are loose, you'll be able to just pop your alignment cams off the back sides. Just make sure you keep them in the orientation they were in. Support your control arm. Pull your bolts out. Remove your control arm. Now we've got our new control arm. We're gonna get that lined up. Maybe a little tight at first. We just want to get our first bolt through. So we'll get our first bolt in, get that lined up. That'll help hold it in place. And we'll get our rear one in. Next, we'll get our alignment cams back in. Now we want to make sure they're in line with our front cams. We'll do the same thing for this side. Then we can reinstall our nuts. Now we're just going to leave these hand tight for the time being so we can swing this back up and get our strut back in position. I'll swing this up. Get our strut lined up. We may need to pull our control arm out a bit. Get our factory bolt back in. Reinstall our nut. Then we'll grab our 21mm wrench and our 24mm socket on our impact to tighten this back down. Now while we're here, we're going to install the grease fitting onto our lower ball joint. So we've got our fitting. Get that threaded in. So we'll tighten this down with a 3/8 wrench. Now you do want to point this in a direction where you can get a grease fitting on it. A grease gun rather. So we'll tighten this up so it points towards the front because we'll have access there. And for now we'll cover that up. We're not going to grease this until we reinstall our knuckle and everything. Next we're going to reinstall our sway bar end link, so that's going to line up with that hole. Push that right back in. Once you get it through, you can reinstall your nut. Then we'll grab our 18mm ratchet wrench and our 8mm socket. Tighten this back down. Now we can reinstall our knuckles, so we're going to line up our axle through and get those splines on, as well as our lower ball joint. Again, this is a little bit tricky, but if you get your axle started into your hub first, and come under, you can kind of work it up and in at the same time. Once you get this up, you grab your supplied castle nut, and we'll get that started. That'll help support it while we get our axle in. Now that we've got that through, we'll loosely reinstall our axle nut. That'll help hold that in place. And while we're here, we'll get our upper control arm back into our knuckle. So move this back, make sure your tie rod isn't jammed up between your knuckle. Back in. Now is a good time to grab a grease gun and grease your ball joint grease fitting. So We'll get that in there, hook that on. Then you want to pump this until you see grease coming back at you. And once you've got that done, you take your grease gun out. Now we're going to tighten down our lower ball joint nut. So for that, we'll need a 27mm socket. Now once you've got that tight, you can grab your supplied cotter pin, get that through, clipped into place. Now we'll get our outer tie rod back in, get that 21mm nut back on. We'll tighten that back down, our 21mm socket. Now we'll tighten down our upper ball joint nut with our 21mm socket and swivel. Now we'll come in and tighten our axle nut back down with our 36mm socket. Now that we have that tight, we'll reinstall our brake rotor. Then we can get our caliper back on. Now we'll get our caliper back on. Put our pads back over our rotor. We can reinstall our 21mm bolts. Get these back in. We'll tighten these back down with our 21mm socket and swivel. We can plug our ABS sensor back in, lock that tab back in. So now once we have it plugged back in, get our locators back in. So now we're gonna adjust our lower control arm back into its alignment point. So we need our 24mm wrench to turn our cams. And you wanna line that back up with your marks you made. Make sure both sides line up. And we'll take our 24mm socket and tighten that down. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our TTX front lower control arm and ball joint assembly for the driver's side of your 06 to 12 four-wheel drive Ram 1500 and your 13 to 18 Ram 1500. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.